Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
Hello. Hello. In this week's first episode, Prototype, part Robocop, part Predator, he is the prototype. Then, in our season finale, Phantom, all our plots come to a head in this explosive and bizarre episode. This is the Smallville Chronicles. Hello, welcome back. If you're listening to this, we're at Thanksgiving holiday, and we are being thankful with the season finale of season 6 of Smallville. We have a couple of pretty good episodes, although we have a weird repeat actor playing somebody else. But joining me as always is the illustrious Alan Muir.
Thank you. It's been as soon as I watched these 2 episodes. Well, I'll get to a certain part when we talked about the season finale. Because there's a certain scene where I just could not stop laughing.
Oh, okay. So this first episode is Prototype, and this kind of brings in a lot of our things that we've been seeing in the episodes. So it starts off with Lex and his assistant going into a lab underneath Reeves Dam, obviously named after Christopher Reeves. And with the doctors charging reports, and there's all this stuff. The guards are being defeated by this unknown person, and the door bursts open and Lex fires, but the bullets are absorbed by a force field, and then a man emerges and holds the gun to Lex's face. It is Wes Keenan. Now, this actor we have seen before, but not as this character. But this character we've heard about in the previous episode, I believe, right?
Yeah, his wife. The episode where Clark and Lex are stuck and have to rely on each other to get out and survive.
They are put in that predicament by his wife, who says that he did not die, which we learned he didn't. But this actor was in season 2?
Season 3. He was part of the rare liver disease that.
Yes. So this is the second time as a different character that he has been experimented on by the Luthors and brought back from the dead both times.
Yeah.
So basically, he pulls the gun, but he doesn't shoot. He stops, and they're like, "Oh, what was the response time?" And they're all kind of cheer, and it's very RoboCop-esque. But he can turn invisible, very similar to the effects of the Predator. So basically, he's a programmed. Well, he's not cybernetic, is he?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I feel like there's some of this stuff from Cyborg in here, and then but he's also gene manipulated because he has DNA from a whole bunch of the level 33.1 people. That's the idea. He's basically this amalgam character, the really bad version of Deadpool that's in X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's basically the same plot. And this one's better, a lot better.
Yeah, even though this is apparently this is the lowest rated episode of the series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So back at the mansion, Lex sees Lana arranging flowers, and he's hovering over her because she was recently shot. Then we have Senator Burke arrive, and Lana remarks that he's been seeing a lot of the senator as she leaves. Burke asks for an update on Project Ares, and he's like, "Oh, it's on schedule." And Burke's like, "Oh, cool. We can put it into mass production." And he's got the military to corroborate on it, but the Senate wants to shut it down once they find out the true purpose of the mission. And Lex is like, "Well, I paid you a shit ton of money to cooperate," and it's I could scrutinize all the business deals over the last 20 years. I'll expose your role in the project. And Lana's been listening the whole time. Basically, the senator is shaking him down for more money. So we have Lionel is watching the tourist video of the escaped zoner that we see in the season opener, and he's writing down Kryptonian symbols. So Clark storms in the office and Lionel puts it away. So at this point, we know that Lionel's still under the influence of Jor-El in some way, or at least has some memories of it.
Well,
and Clark,
we get a solid answer on that in the next episode.
Yes. So Clark begins to question him about why he forced Lana to marry Lex. And Lionel, and that he thinks this. But Lionel's like, no, she just changed her mind. And Clark's like, I call bullshit. But he leaves. Lois is trying to console Chloe at the Talon, who's sad about Jimmy leaving for his new assignment. Clark arrives and Lois leaves. She's chasing a lead on a dirty senator. That's probably not connected to anything. So Clark asks Chloe what's up. Chloe says Lois hasn't told her much about the story. And Clark's like, I went to go see Lionel. He didn't say anything. And he tells Chloe Lex is capable of anything and urges her to tell him why Lana went through with it, even reminding reminding Chloe what Lex did to her and her mom. This pisses off Chloe even more. And it's like, Lana must have a goddamn good reason for staying in this marriage. So we cut to Lois is in the alleyway. He's bribing a waiter at Burke's favorite restaurant. And she accosts Burke, who pulls up in a limo. And this is basically a lot of happenstance that leads up here. So she asks him about his accounts. Blah, blah, blah. An invisible person appears, which is an oxymoron, and kills Burke, and then goes to kill Lois, but recognizes her, but like he uninvisibles. And she's like, wait, you're Wes. And then he's like, huh? And then he disappears. And he super speeds away. So we got to Chloe and Lois. They meet Clark at the planet. And basically they're like, yeah, they think it was a mob hit. But Lois is like, yeah, I saw who it was. Like, we grew up together. Like, his dad and my dad, like, were stationed together. And he was a model soldier. And they say Wes, and Chloe's like, whoa, Wes Keenan was killed in action. Lois is like, no, that's the dude I saw. Although, like, they don't call back that we just had a thing with Wes, like Keenan involved, like last week. So that's weird. And we come back to the laboratory and they're monitoring him. And they're like, oh, there was a witness. It's like, why did you guys not take care of it? And they're going to like tweak with Wes's programming. So I guess he has to have some cyborg stuff in him, right?
Yeah, and the super speeding away, I imagine when they had
Bart.
Yeah.
So Clark and Martha tell Lois that it's safer to stay at the farm because because Martha has government connections to see if she can get Wes's records, and Martha's like, I'll see what I can do. I guess this is like where they imply later on where Martha's connections start to grow.
Yeah.
So it says that she and Wes were close, and basically it's very heavily implied that like they were a thing and they were each other's firsts through this. But Wes appears out of thin air. He throws Clark across the room and he's going to go stab Lois, but Clark recovers but Wes grabs Lois and he disappears. Clark goes to get Chloe and tells him when Wes hit him, it felt like his battle against Titan, because we saw in Titan that they recovered the body. Oh, he says she hasn't gotten his file yet, but this is where we find like Wes's wife, Jody, tried to kill Lex in the tunnels. Oh yeah, remember that thing that happened last week? That was his wife. And they realize he's connected to 33.1 somehow. And Clark is like, can you contact Ollie and the team? They get back to me. I might need backup. But Chloe's like, I don't know, like if they're going to give me anything. So Clark's like, all right, I'll have to go talk to Lana. Lana's getting ready in her bedroom, sold with candles. And Lex is like, yeah, I was trying to set the mood, but they're interrupted by the Dr. Bartlett, who's like, the asset failed to return. And Lex is like, and Lana hears Clark whisper her name, which is weird. And Clark's just behind her and says that like he needs information because Lois is in trouble. And Lana's like, here's what I know about Project Ares. I think it has to do with Burke. And Clark's like, yeah, but Burke's dead. And Lana's like, oh shit. And Lana's like, I just learned that the asset didn't return. And Clark's like, I'm pretty sure the asset's Wes. And he's like, Lana, beware of Lex. Clark speeds away. So we see Lex storms in the lab. He's like pissed off because they can't track Wes because that's the whole point of him. But they're using the satellite to try to find him to reinitiate his commands because I guess they need to get the satellite directly above him or some goofy thing. But Lois wakes up and Wes is standing over her and he's like saying all his programming jargon, and Lois is trying to get through to him. Talks about them getting drunk once when they were little kids, and talks about his wife and all this other stuff. And she's like, I'll expose everything that they did to you. And then Wes does the like, hurry, run, I'm losing control. And Lois runs away. And Clark and Chloe meet up at the farm. And it's like, Lex is building super soldiers. And she reveals that Ollie's team encountered an earlier model. that had a powerful force field. And Martha finds Wes's file. They think it's a programming failure. And he would go to a familiar place. And then it's like, oh, Wes and Lois grew up at Fort Adelson, which is like over there. So Clark runs there. So Lois is trying to figure out a way out of the warehouse. Now Wes is fully under control and he starts to choke her. She passes out. And then him and Clark shows up. They start to fight. And Wes throws Clark, and then he like goes invisible. But Clark can still kind of see him because he uses his other visions. And Clark has enough time to heat vision blast him away. The force field knocks Wes out. Lois gets up. Wes runs to Wes's side. She's like, he's like, I'd rather die than be taken over again. And Lois cries and he dies. And Clark watches on, sad because he killed another person. It's like the 25th person he's murdered. So Clark is like, he's sad about everything, but nothing he can be done about the exploitation to Wes. And asks Martha if she can do anything. And she's like, I don't really have any influence. And then Lionel arrives and he's like, well, why don't you replace Burke as the U.S. Senate instead of just a state senator? And Clark's like, yeah, that's what Dad would have wanted you to do. And you could really make a change. So we get Lexus on the phone and they want his body back. And Lana shows up and she's like, why didn't you come home last night? And he's like, oh, there are complications with Project Ares. And Lana's like, huh? And Lex is like, come on. Like, I know that you listened in on everything. It's like, I was just curious. And Lex tells her that all she had to do was ask, that he's not going to keep secrets from her like other people. And Clark tells Chloe that Martha's huge fans, but they wonder if Lionel has other motives because he always does. And they're like, well, there's bigger problems, and that is Lex. And they're like, Lois will tell the feds everything. Lex will be punished, but Lois arrives and it's like, Wes's body doesn't exist anymore, and I'm going to make Lex pay for this. And she huffs away. And they're going to study Wes's corpse. And the doc reveals they don't have any more alien DNA from Titan to continue the project. And Lex is an attorney. He's like, I'm already working on securing a replacement subject. And that he has hundreds of subjects ready to be turned into super soldiers.
Yeah, I found that the bit where they like the big like, oh my god, when they show all the like
the bodies like in the holding areas or whatever.
Yeah, I just laughed at that. That felt a little goofy.
It's definitely of the era. Like it reminds me of is it the first Blade when they're like the people are in like the giant IV bags?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like very similar to that. This episode's fine. It's actiony, which is like it's very actiony, which is like fine, but like it's really goofy. Like that the fact that they take so long to make the connection to the previous episode is odd. All right. I would give this episode, like a C. It's fine. There's definitely worse episodes. Was there anything you wanted to say about this one before we moved on to our season finale?
Yeah, I felt like, or the game, not the game. It felt like just mainly a gimmick episode to do their take on Predator.
Yeah, which is weird because even the Predator 2 came out in like 89. Like, I don't even know, this is like before AVP even, right? So that was the first like kind of redo of Predator.
This was after AVP, before Requiem.
Okay, so I guess kind of Predator stuff is popped back in the name. It's fine. Conceptually, like it makes sense. Like he makes sense for like what they would do, and it makes more sense than what we get that becomes Doomsday in BVS, which is, I guess, supposed to be similar conceptually, but dumber, much dumber. So we have our second episode, our season finale, Phantom. And so we start in a remote cabin in Bale, St. Paul, Quebec. A woman is caring for a sick loved one, and she's visited by a stranger, and it's the Martian Manhunter, and leads to her ailing father, and they track down the final Phantom. It's Bizarro, and it's not the Bizarro you think or want. There's aspects of it that are fine, but Bizarro is inhabiting this old man. They've attempted to exorcise it, but when Martian Manhunter takes over, he gets really hurt, and he gets punched through the roof by Bizarro. Can't defeat the Phantom.
You're forgetting the part where Bizarro rips one of Martian Manhunter's organs out.
Oh yes, like his not liver or something. It's all goofy. But he punches Martian Manhunter through the roof and he zips away. And in a red light, and then Bizarro tries to leave. Okay, Craig. I guess I'll have to use reverse Craig. The 33.1 soldiers burst in, and Lux orders them to stun it, but Bizarro Phantom leaves the person he's possessing and vanishes. I wonder where he's going to end up. So Martha's preparing to move away from Smallville to DC to take Ed Burke's senatorial seat, and tells Clark that he doesn't have to stay on the farm if he doesn't want to. And Clark's like, no, it's our home. I'm going to keep it that way. I'll take care of it. And they hug and kiss goodbye. And this is kind of how they're going to take Martha away from being a regular cast member from the show, which I don't mind. Like, they actually give Martha like shit to do, which is great. So Lex is on the phone. He's like, I need every man, woman, and child to be inspected. Like, we need that thing. We need the blood so we can restart our super soldiers. And Lionel arrives and it's like, oh, I wonder if it's that's like how Lana stole the DVD from my library. And Lex is like, I still love Lana and she would never betray or cheat on me unless she was being coerced. And Lionel's like, the only reason that Lana agreed to marry Lex was because I gave her a gentle but firm nudge. And Lex is like, I want you out of our lives. So this is like a very interesting place that Lionel's in, because he's like helped Lex by getting Lana with him, but is now using that against Lex here. It's very interesting because that's the Lionel character. It's playing all the sides. So Chloe finds Lois in the town after she's pulling an all-nighter of an investigation, and Lois is trying to figure out like the 8-digit number Wes kept repeating before he died. And Chloe's like, in my experience, you're never going to win going up against the Luthers. You're more likely to get hurt, because if we remember, Chloe had to fake her death once. Her mom's been imprisoned. She's been captured and experimented on. Her dad's lost his job. I'm trying to think what else happened to Chloe specifically.
She lost her spot at the Bugle. Not the Bugle.
The planet.
The planet.
Yeah, she's gotten computers for their high school and they got taken away. Yeah. And Lois is like, yeah, you're right. And it's like, rips the paper in half. And Chloe's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. And then now that they're in half, Lois is like, oh shit, they're latitude and longitude coordinates. So meanwhile, Fark finds Lana in the loft and she's like, I'm leaving Lex. And Clark's like, oh. And he's like, I'm not sorry about it. And Lana's like, I'm also leaving Smallville. I want to say goodbye, but like, and then I'll always love you, but I kind of have to go on the run. And Lana's like, I can't protect you this time. And she turns to go, but Clark super speeds in front of her. And he's like, you can't leave until you know the truth. And I was like, I already know about your powers. But he's like, no, that's not it. I'm an alien. And then she's like, it's completely silent. He's like, are you going to say something? And she's still silent. And then she kisses him and whispers that to her, he's still the same Clark. Clark's happy because she finally knows the truth. And Lana has no more reason to leave. But Lana's like, I still have to go. Like, it won't be safe. And she's like, I know you have a weakness. And Clark's like, how do you know? She doesn't respond. And Clark asks if Lionel told her, and she's like, yeah, Lionel threatened to kill you if she didn't marry Lex. And Clark hugs her. So now we have that aspect going on. So at the mansion, Lana confronts Lex. She's like, you orchestrated this whole fake pregnancy thing to force me to marry you. Lex is like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he says that she can't deny what they had together. And Lana's like, our whole relationship was built on lies. Says she wants to leave him, and Lex turns away, asking if Clark is the reason. Lana's like, no, Clark has nothing to do with it. And then adds Clark means more to her than Lex ever will. And Lex slaps Lana across the face. And Lana says, like, that'll be the last time you ever touch me, and storms out. And Lex grabs her wrist, and she asks Lex if he's going to kill her, since that's the only way Lex will keep her in the marriage. And he lets go. And this is an intense turn for Lex, like as a character, like to actually hit Lana.
Yeah, it shows that he's still slowly but surely going down that descent into madness.
Yeah, it's the like kind of the fine anything we thought that was positive in him is now gone. Like he's now has nothing. Like even with the lying and the fake pregnancy, like to actually hit her is like the final line that he has now crossed, and there's no coming back. Plus now he's utterly alone. So we flip over and we go to Clark confronts Lionel at Luther Plaza, and you forced Lana to marry Lex, and you reveal my weakness, and he throws Lionel up against the wall, but Manhunter shows up, and he's like, no, you don't understand, Clark. Lionel and I are working together, and he's like, Lionel knew that Lex was hunting the last Phantom, and was helping the Manhunter find him, and Clark realizes that the Manhunter's hurt, and he's like, yeah, the last Ray is a Kryptonian laboratory experiment, and it can inhabit human bodies, but they burn out. So he needs to find a Kryptonian host. And you need to go find this last zoner. So Clark and Chloe are investigating because, yes, two people who have high school degrees that work at a newspaper are the best people to find a missing alien. And they find an 8-year-old boy with mysterious symptoms who was collected by an unmarked helicopter. And they're like, oh, probably Luther. So Clark goes to check it out, but Chloe stops him and says, Lana told me that you told her secret, and her response was positive. So Chloe's like, you got to be ecstatic. And he's like, I can't be happy until I catch this last zoner, this will all play into next season. So Lana's in the phone with Lionel, telling him that she's leaving Smallville and never coming back. Lionel's like, wait before you do anything. But Lana's like, it's too late. Lex hit me. And Lana runs to her car as Lionel's vehicle pulls up, and Lana enters it as a postal truck drives by, and he doesn't see the car, and then her car explodes, and Lionel is blown back. Lana's dead. I'm sure. Totally.
She lost all her souls.
Yes. Clark finds Lionel at the mansion, and he tells her what he knows about the helicopter, and then realizes Lionel knows something, and Lionel reports is like, I saw Lana's car explode. And Clark's like shaken, and he's very quiet, and he's like, it was Lex that had her killed to keep her from leaving. And Lionel's like, please stay, don't do the thing. But Clark goes and does the thing. So he speeds to the dam, enraged. Lois shows up at the dam because the coordinates, and she encounters the security guards, and after a struggle, the guard kills Lois. Lois kills the guard, but he stabs her in the gut, which still Lois just killed someone too. So she's able to dial Chloe before she collapses. When Chloe arrives, she finds the Luther Corp guard dead and the knife in the pool of blood. She follows it. She finds Lois unconscious and bleeding. She's like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then Chloe has the magical MacGuffin power to end all MacGuffin powers. Or I guess maybe like Deus Ex powers. What would you call it?
I'd say get a jail free card, considering everything.
And yeah, basically she gets glowy.
And just saying, she does not. She can't use to get a jail free card this time.
Oh yeah, in real life, yes.
Yeah.
But Chloe starts to cry, and then she has a magical shining tear that falls on Lois's forehead, and there's a burst of light, and Lois wakes up, and Chloe's like, and like she's dead looking. So Lex, Dr. Bartlett, and the project doctor, they're all in the laboratory observing the captured Phantom in the boy's form. They take the blood sample to confirm that the Phantom is inhabiting him. But after they take it, the kid breaks out, kills Bartlett. Lex pushes the doctor into the path behind him, and he gets killed. And then Lex is getting near the exit, and Clark shows up. Clark is furious over Lana's death, grabs Lex, and is like, what did you do? Lex is like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Clark tells him that, like, you did it. You made this whole thing. You lied about the pregnancy, and now she's dead, and you killed her. And the boy's like, hey, hi. And like says, it'll kill us both. And Clark's like, just puts Lex down and is like, go. He tries to leave, but his car is stopped on the dam by police cars. They order him out of the vehicle for the arrest of Lana Luther. So inside the dam, the Wraith leaves the boy. Clark uses the crystal on it, but it doesn't do nothing. The Wraith charges, blows up the crystal, and hits Clark head on. What this does is it goes through several walls. Clark goes through several walls, and still when he gets up, he sees that there's a replica of himself. It's Bizarro Clark.
Okay, this is the part where I just loudly started laughing because I did a screen grab and looked for the actual name of the place, Ruskin Dam. It's been used for Smallville, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and I just lost it seeing that.
Oh, yeah, it's probably like a dam that's in Vancouver.
Yeah, it is.
So this is fun.
Connor mentioned that.
Yeah. So they have this intense brawl. Everything is shaking. Lionel shows up and he pulls out some green kryptonite to use on Bizarre. And Bizarro's like, oh, thank you. Num num num. And absorbs the radiation. And it turns clear, just like Lana's necklace from so many seasons ago. And now he's stronger, which is more of a Ultraman thing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So makes him stronger. He throws Lionel against the grate. He gets knocked out and pinned under rubble as the waters are coming up, so he might drown. And Clark and Bizarro super speed to get at each other, and the whole dam rumbles. Clark is thrown out of one side. Bizarro flies after him, and in the fight, we see, because Bizarro's actually flying, that his face gets all weird. It turns gray, and I don't know, what would you call this effect? Like crackly? It's like chalk white and steel. It's goofy looking. It's like kind of an effect to look like the old Super Friends cartoon version of Bizarro.
It looks somewhat metallic.
Yeah, and that is where we end our season finale.
With
So,
a to be continued.
Yeah, so Lionel might be dead, Chloe might be dead, Alexa's about to be arrested, and Clark's getting the shit kicked out of him by Bizarro.
And things may be getting bad for the people on the bridge.
Yep. And so, yeah, this is definitely, it's a fine season finale. Overall, as an episode, it's hard to judge it because it's only half of a story. And it has its very goofy moments. But I do also think that this is kind of a point where I would say, like, this is where the show starts to turn.
Yeah, as much as I love the season, like season 7 on,
It's a different show at that point.
Yeah, once Rosenbaum, Glover, Anatole, Kristen Crook, like once they leave, it truly is like not the same.
Yep. So next time we'll get into that, into season 7, the first and second episodes. So I want to look and see what we have to look forward to in season 7. So more Bizarro. I'm trying to remember who
we have. There's the episode where Clark and Lana both get
have sex.
Basically that, and it's just like
causing
earthquakes in Smallville. Which was this? I wonder if it was before or after the Buffy Angel comic.
Ooh, it's gotta be close. We also have that we have the introduction of Supergirl in this season, who are actually like Vandervoort. And then we have what do you call it? We have Lara Jor-El. We have, what's the other one? Zor-El shows up this season. Lots of blue kryptonite stuff. We have Black Canary show up. Pete returns.
Basically, the like bringing back a lot of big players for the what at the time was the presumed ending of the show.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have a lot of kind of crazy stuff to finish up when we get through season 7. But yeah, season 6 is pretty good season. It's not my favorite. There are some good episodes still to go in the last 4 seasons that we have. Yeah, so it'll be fun. Don't forget to rate and review, and leave 5 stars, tell a friend. Go check out vgu.tv. Al, you got a ton of stuff with the whole new next gen, new current gen systems that just dropped.
Yeah, along with that, by the time this goes up, we'll have the latest episode of Hybrid Time 2 podcast, which is we have a special edition episode or bonus episode where I kind of try to just basically it felt like a therapy session where I just got all my feelings about the DC Omniverse out.
Mm-hmm.
Emmett, there'll be another episode of Players Club, and yeah, we'll have content on the site talking about the new consoles.
Yeah, and we just read and then watched New Mutants on NL Comics and on Movie Party, which should be dropping this week. And it's a kind of good movie. And that's where I'll leave it. So I'm Lou Gonzalez.
And I'm Alan Muir, and this podcast stands for truth, justice, and the American way. America is back.